Hello fellow gardeners and soil enthusiasts, welcome back to the Humus Heritage, where we dig deep into the timeless wisdom that transforms ordinary gardens into thriving ecosystems. Today we're exploring something truly special, a composting method that connects us to ancient agricultural wisdom while solving modern gardening challenges. If you've ever struggled with disappointing harvests, plants that never quite reach their potential, or found yourself reaching for chemical fertilizers just to keep things alive, this guide is for you. The secret to breaking free from this cycle lies not in what you add to your garden, but in what you create beneath the surface. Every gardener knows the heartbreak of watching plants struggle despite our best efforts. You water diligently, position them in perfect sunlight, and yet they remain lackluster and unproductive. The problem isn't your green thumb, it's what's happening underground. Soil is the living foundation of every successful garden, teeming with billions of microorganisms that transform organic matter into plant-available nutrients. When this foundation is weak, everything suffers. Chemical fertilizers might offer temporary relief, but they're expensive band-aids that damage soil biology over time, creating a dependency cycle that leaves your garden worse off than before. What if you could effortlessly create the richest, most biologically active soil imaginable using a method so simple that ancient civilizations relied on it for millennia? Clay urn composting is that game changer, and it's about to transform how you think about soil creation forever. Clay urn composting, known in traditional Indian agriculture as the Kamba system, represents a brilliant fusion of observation and natural science that predates modern composting by thousands of years. At its core, this method uses unglazed terracotta pots, simple clay vessels, to create a perfectly controlled environment for decomposition. Unlike plastic bins or open compost piles, clay urns work with nature's own principles to manage the delicate balance that transforms kitchen scraps into black gold. So, the magic really lies in the material itself. Terracotta is naturally porous, which means it actually lets air molecules pass through the walls, all while regulating moisture levels with some pretty remarkable precision. The science behind this efficiency is, honestly, fascinating. Composting requires 4 essential elements: oxygen, moisture, carbon-rich materials, and nitrogen-rich materials. You know, traditional compost piles often struggle with the first two, needing constant turning for aeration and a lot of careful monitoring to avoid either drought or waterlogging. Clay urns, though, solve both problems automatically. Those porous walls just breathe continuously, making sure there's aerobic decomposition, which prevents foul odors and creates nutrient-rich compost instead of that nasty anaerobic sludge. Simultaneously, these same walls wick away excess moisture while retaining enough humidity to keep decomposition active, creating a self-regulating system that works while you sleep. The thermal properties of clay add another layer of brilliance. The material naturally buffers temperature extremes, keeping the internal environment stable enough for beneficial microorganisms to thrive year-round. Starting your clay urn composting system requires minimal investment and even less ongoing effort. Begin by selecting unglazed terracotta pots in a stackable configuration, typically 3 pots of decreasing size that nest together, topped with a lid. The bottom pot should be at least 12 inches in diameter to provide adequate capacity for a small household. Avoid glazed or painted pots entirely, as the coating blocks the porosity that makes this system work. Position your urn stack in a shaded location protected from direct rain, such as a covered balcony, under eaves, or in a garden shed with ventilation. Direct sun can overheat the system while excessive rain disrupts the moisture balance you're cultivating. The initial setup follows a simple layering philosophy that, really mimics how decomposition works on a forest floor. So, you want to start with a 3-inch foundation of brown materials, things like shredded newspaper, dried leaves, sawdust, or coconut coir. This base provides carbon and, importantly, creates air pockets right at the bottom. This brown layer is actually critical because it prevents those first additions of wet kitchen waste from compacting and turning anaerobic, which we definitely don't want. Next, go ahead and add your first contribution of green materials, fruit and vegetable scraps. Coffee grounds with the filters, tea bags, crushed eggshells, or even wilted flowers. Just make sure you avoid meat, dairy, oils, or cooked foods, since those decompose pretty slowly and can attract unwanted pests. Now, sprinkle a handful of finished compost garden soil or a commercially available microbial accelerator over this green layer. These microorganisms and enzymes will jumpstart the decomposition process, dramatically reducing the time it takes to turn waste into finished compost. Finally, cover everything with another thin brown layer and secure the lid to maintain the system's internal climate, all while letting gases escape through the clay walls. You know, the real beauty of clay urn composting is honestly just how hands-off it is. Every day, all you need to do is lift the lid and toss in your kitchen scraps, then cover them up with a handful of brown material or maybe just a sprinkle of accelerator powder. This simple layering approach helps keep odors at bay, discourages those pesky fruit flies, and, most importantly, maintains that crucial carbon-to-nitrogen balance that keeps decomposition humming along efficiently. About once a week, just grab a stick or a small garden fork and gently stir the top layers. This brings in a bit of oxygen, but doesn't disturb the lower levels where most of the decomposition magic is happening. That's really all your urn needs. No heavy turning, no fussing with temperatures, and definitely no complicated chemistry. So, here's how you know you're on the right track. Your senses will tell you. As things break down, you'll notice the volume inside the urn shrinks a lot, since organic matter is turning into its basic building blocks. After about 6 weeks or so, go ahead and check the bottom pot for finished compost. What you're looking for is a dark, crumbly material, kind of like rich coffee grounds, with a loose structure that just runs easily through your fingers. It's really pretty amazing. The smell should be earthy and pleasant, kinda like forest soil after a rain, never sour, putrid, or ammonia-like, which would indicate problems with moisture or aeration. Any recognizable food scraps should be completely transformed. If you still see identifiable pieces, just allow more time. Harvesting is honestly wonderfully simple. You remove the bottom pot, scoop out your finished compost, and return any unfinished material to the top pot before reassembling your stack. This continuous cycle means you're simultaneously adding fresh waste at the top while harvesting finished compost from the bottom. The impact of clay urn compost on plant health is nothing short of extraordinary. This living soil amendment introduces, well, billions of beneficial microorganisms that improve soil structure, enhance nutrient availability, and suppress plant diseases. Vegetables grow more vigorously, producing larger yields with improved flavor and nutritional content. Flowers bloom more prolifically, with deeper colors and longer-lasting displays. Even struggling houseplants experience, a real renaissance when their potting mix gets regular additions of this biological treasure. The slow-release nature of nutrients in finished compost means plants access what they need, when they need it, totally eliminating that boom and bust cycle you get with synthetic fertilizers. Beyond traditional garden applications, your compost enriches potting mixes for container gardens, top-dresses lawns that are struggling with compaction, revitalizes tired raised beds, and even brews into compost tea for foliar feeding. Starting your clay urn composting journey today really just takes a trip to a garden center or pottery supplier for some unglazed terracotta pots and a commitment to viewing your kitchen scraps as valuable resources instead of waste. Within 2 months, you'll harvest your first batch of living soil, breaking free from chemical dependency while connecting to agricultural traditions that have, honestly, sustained human civilization for thousands of years. Ready to transform your garden from the ground up? Subscribe to the Humus Heritage for more ancient wisdom applied to modern gardens, and share this video with fellow gardeners who deserve to discover the effortless path to amazing soil. Your most productive gardening season starts with a simple clay urn and ends with the healthiest plants you've ever grown. Let's start composting.